Shalom, giving all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Arachak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to the old elect tabernacle of David scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Now, just real quick, I'm not going to make this long, but now I just want to highlight something. When you analyze the character of Yahushai, which the scriptures say to, arm yourselves with the same mind as Yahushai. One of the things we know about Yahushai was that, he was obedient and humble. He allowed the demonstration of the power due to working for him, where he didn't have to self-promote himself. Like it says in Philippians, the second chapter, he humbled himself. He humbled himself in the form of a human servant and was obedient unto death, carrying that cross. And he made himself of no reputation. Even when he demonstrated the powerful acts, through the Holy Spirit, he would even tell individuals that he healed, hey, basically, give praise and honor to the Heavenly Father, and he didn't want praise. He didn't want approval. Okay. He would sometimes, be low key with some of his works. All right. So that's just something that you would come to know about the character of Yahushai. Now, when you compare and contrast that with some of these leaders of these other different Israelite camps, especially the famous ones, all right, to them, the popularity and being known and famous and having a big following, it kind of promotes that high-minded, vainglorious attitude within them. And that's why they have this arrogant aura that you see about these type of characters. I'm talking about the Tazariacs, the General Yohanas, the Bishop Nathaniels. So I want to demonstrate something just by playing this little clip right here. All right, he's doing this little car show, and I guess he's talking about the encounter he had with that dude, God Logic, where he actually shows up to his studio, which I'm pretty sure that was all planned out. And it's like, dude, what are we doing here, man? Now we showing up to Christians' houses and doing live streams, so he just, friends with the world, which the scriptures say a friendship of this world is enmity with the Most High. We're not to be equally yoked with unbelievers where, we're contacting and, calling them and showing, flying out and, coming to their homes and this and that. Like, what are we doing? You debated this man plenty of times and he's not coming to your side and you're not going to his side. So what are we doing here? What exactly is going on? You see? So anyway, I believe a lot of this is all for self-promotion. This is how he gets his recognition. This is how he gets his popularity amongst the people in this world and in Israel. All right? This is why he does what he do. It's not to the exaltation, all right, and glorification of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Because then he wouldn't be he wouldn't be this praised among men. All right. He would be detested amongst all these people. He wouldn't be allowed in a lot of these circles that he's acquainted with if he really stood on business, truthfully, and had the same attitude that Yahweh Shai had. Okay, so let me play this just to demonstrate.
Platform. If you go to his videos and go to most popular, if you go to his videos and you go to most popular, I am number 3 on his most popular videos. That's 1. That's 2.
Well, controversy is popular. Controversy and entertainment is very popular in this world. And knowing the teachings and the views of the Israelites, it especially in this world, is definitely a controversial phenomenon. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people are anxious to see or hear, what we would say in regards to, some of the secular beliefs and teachings. All right. And even in regards to Christianity, Catholicism, and even Judaism. All right. So you being a controversial figure because you're known to debate everybody. You basically made a name for yourself by just going on countless debates. All right. So of course you're gonna have a bunch of views, with your face on it. Because to a lot of people it's entertainment. It's entertaining, But my question to this is, why does this even matter? Why does it matter, and who does it edify? Where's the edification in knowing that, your face being on the 3rd most popular video of a YouTube channel? Why does that even matter? I wouldn't really care to boast about something like that unless I'm trying to promote myself or seek the approval of men. So you can see that he gets a kick out of this, man. This is why he goes on these platforms. This is why he does these countless debates. He loves knowing that his name is associated, with the controversy, which leads to what? Him being famous and popular. People want to tune in to see this guy debate people, But I mean, it's in this world it would be an honorable thing, but in the eyes of the Lord, who the hell cares, man? And this ain't coming out of a space of jealousy, envy, because we don't care about popularity. We don't care about views, numbers, because we understand that the Lord is he's only saving a remnant. The reach is worldwide, but the election is very few in comparison to the nation. So let me continue to play this. So he's making it, a thing to show that his name and face is associated with, a video that has the 3rd highest view count.
That's 3. I am number 3 on his platform of most popular videos. Oh, going over every celebrity that he has.
Congratulations. Congrats, Captain Tazaryak. So, maybe that's an honor to you, right? Maybe you feel highly of yourself, but let me go here now, because the most edifying lessons, they don't get that many views. A lot of Jake find it boring, when you go into real, needful information, things that does edify. All right. This is John 7, and I'll start at verse 16. This is Yahushua speaking. It says, Yahushua answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. Because he's written in the book. He's written in the volume of the book. All right. He came to do the will of his Father. So when Yahushua spoke, he spoke of what was written of himself. He didn't come to just promote himself. He came to fulfill what was written of him. It says, if any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of the Most High or whether I speak of myself. He that speaketh of himself seeketh his own glory. But he that seeketh his glory that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. All right. So the Lord, he wasn't self-seeking, of popularity and glory. All right. He wasn't even esteemed among his own people, even though he was the Son of the Most High. He also even made this statement. Let's go to, I believe it's John 5. It is John 5 and 40 says, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of the Most High in you. I am come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. It's dealing with our people. If another shall come in his own name, he has his own code of personality. He has his own reputation. All right, he's approved. He's popular. He even has a brand. Right? If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive, and that's our people. They have a respecter of persons. Let me go to see what it say in the AMP. Yeah, John 5 and 43, it says, I am come in my Father's name and with his power, and you do not receive me because your minds are closed. But if another comes in his own name and with no authority or power except his own, you will receive him and give your approval to an imposter. And that's not to say that Zaryak is an imposter, but, you got many guys out there that's, they have that appearance. All right. And through their actions, they demonstrate that they really don't represent Yahushua. They represent themselves. All right. Yahushua and his men didn't use gimmicks. They just taught the word and demonstrated the power. That was it. And most of our people came against them for what they taught. They recognized Yahushua when he taught. He didn't show any partiality. He didn't care what men thought. He didn't care about other people's opinion about him. He taught, thus saith the Lord, man, what was written. No respecter of persons, man. So the Lord said, I don't receive glory and approval from men. So that means that the Lord, majority of our people, they disowned him. Okay. So, I wouldn't really boast about being, popular. Look, my name and my face associated with your content is the third most viewed, the third most watched video on your channel. But hey, Israel, we are controversial. All right. We have good report and evil report. Scriptures say unknown and yet well known. We understand that. But, we don't utilize that to, boast of ourselves and, use it for approval. Okay. Let me go to First Thess, the second chapter, and I'm gonna get this also in the AMP. Like I said, I'm gonna be short. I'm not gonna make this a long video. And this is dealing with Paul's ministries. 1 Thessalonians 2:1. In the AMP, it says, "For you know, brothers and sisters, that our coming to you has not been ineffective, fruitless, in vain. But after we had already suffered and been outrageously treated in Philippi, as you know, yet in the strength of our power, we summoned the courage to proclaim boldly to you the good news of the Most High regarding salvation amid great opposition. For our appeal does not come from delusion or impure motives, nor is it motivated by deceit. Our message is complete, accurate, and based on the truth. No spins, all right? No changing up. We're not handling the word deceitfully. We're teaching as it is written, thus saith the Lord, man. Right with the text, precept upon precept, rightly dividing the word of truth. It says, and based on the truth, it does not change. It changes for other people, though. Guys doing 180 spins about faces on the doctrine. The doctrine doesn't change. It says, but just as we have been approved by the Most High to be entrusted with the gospel, and that's why we're defenders of it, because we've been entrusted with it. So we're going to defend and protect it against everybody. This is why we make videos on whoever, anybody that we hear that's in the spirit of error. We're gonna get on them in defense of what we were entrusted with. It says that tells the good news of salvation through faith in HaMashiach. So we speak not as if we were trying to please people to gain power and popularity. That's not the mission. That is not the aim. It should not be in none of our character to be trying to gain power and popularity. Certain dudes, they come like that. You had Gorilla, I'm the chief priest. It is a sin for you to disagree with me. He's popular, going from this platform, that platform. He made his reputation, and then the Lord, he tarnished the man's image and reputation. Because that's what happens when you exalt yourself. You become abased. And this can very well happen to you as well, Captain Zaryak, man. Be careful to gain all this power and recognition, because out of nowhere, suddenly, you could be cast down and the Lord can discover you. Just like he did to Alazar. He made an example out of him. But to please the Most High, who examines our hearts, expecting our best. And Paul also made this statement here as well. Galatians 1 verse 10. And it says, am I now trying to win the favor and approval of men or of the Most High? Or am I seeking to please someone? If I were still trying to be popular with men, I would not be a bondservant of a Mashiach. All right. So, and going back to Philippians, we arming ourselves with the mind of Yahushai. You're not going to be trying to seek popularity with men. You're not going to be desirous of vainglory. All right. So that leads me into this real quick, and I'm going to end it after I read this. And I said, he that speaketh of himself seeketh his own glory. What was Yahushua put Christ so that ChatGPT would, I could have put Yahushua. Matter of fact, from here on out, I'm going to just use Yahushua. But, I want to ask this question just to see what it said. It says, what was HaMashiach conveying with this statement? And then this is from John 7:18, which I actually read. And then I'm going to just read the first two. It says, 1, a true messenger does not promote himself. And that, is that not what these guys constantly do on these different platforms? These different streaming platforms, they promote themselves. Always got an intro, music playing, you know. They got their names, logos. It says to speak of oneself means to promote oneself, seeking attention, admiration, or authority based on one's own claims. Yahushua is contrasting self-appointed teachers who use spiritual teaching to elevate themselves with true messengers sent by the Most High, whose purpose is to exalt the Most High, not themselves. All right, and Nate, oh my goodness, that dude is highly exalted. And it's only a matter of time before the Lord really, makes an example of him. And we thought that, you would have thought, what happened back in, was that 2021? And we saw that man deteriorating. We thought that he would have learned then. But this guy, he's hard-hearted, man. He's in love, with the popularity, and what comes with that. Yahushua is demonstrating his own humility and divine mission. In context, Yahushua is defending the authenticity of his teaching against accusations that he was acting independently. He is saying, I'm not here to glorify myself. My teaching comes from the one who sent me. This emphasizes that his authority is not self-derived, but from the Father. His humility and obedience confirm his divine truthfulness. You know what? I'll read 3. And it says, self-glorification is linked to falsehood. Yahushua states that those who seek their own glory are not trustworthy. Why? Because self-promotion corrupts motives. A person who uses spiritual teaching for fame, influence, or admiration is more prone to distortion, pride, and false doctrine. You see that? And every time we see Tazariak, he be doing all this debating, but there's a lot of times where he be fumbling, man. He be dropping the ball. We be catching him, and we be like, did he really just say that? How are you a teacher in Israel doing all this debating? You know how to stay self-composed. You know how to listen and respond to people and all this other stuff. But certain scriptures, you like, what? But guys start to get beside themselves, man. Very arrogant. That they won't even be willing to, examine themselves, man. Whether they even be in the faith. A lot of guys are going to be disappointed when the Lord turns them away when he shows up, man. When he says, depart from me, I never knew you. It's going to be crazy, man. Well, Lord, did I not go on all these platforms? Did I not, debate these guys that were attacking the faith, that was doing this and doing that? Didn't I bring a lot of people to you? But the Lord, the whole entire time, he was watching what was in your heart, man. The Lord pondereth the heart, the spirit. By him, actions are weighed. It says, but the one who seeks the Most High's glory acts without the distortions of ego. Therefore, no unrighteousness is in him. All right. And I'll stop here at 4. It says, this statement exposes religious leaders. In a broader chapter, Yahushua is indirectly contrasting himself with the Pharisees. They love public honor, status, and recognition, like all these other guys, because that's why they got to add all these gimmicks and all these different controversial takes, like John the Baptist was not in the truth, and all these different things, man. All right, all these different heresies, right? They do it all just so that they can get notoriety. Genesis, they trying to come up fast, and they know that what they're doing right now is stirring up controversy, and their name is in the algorithm. This is what they want to do. They want to come from out of the shadow from Al-Azhar. This is what they're doing. So they're not motivated, by a righteous motive. It's all wicked. It says their teaching served to glorify themselves. All right. Yahushua teaching served to glorify the Father. So I'm gonna end it right there. But I had to go into that, because it's like I wouldn't care about, how many views my name is attached to, or so, like I wouldn't care about that. You know what I mean? Because, Jake, especially our people, when they listen to us, it's entertainment to them anyway. Matter of fact, let me go here to Ezekiel 33. And look where it says here. It is Ezekiel 33 and 31 that says, they come to you as people come, and they sit before you as my people, and they hear your words, but they do not practice them. For with their mouth they express much devotion, but their heart goes after their unlawful gain. Behold, you are to them like a love song by one who has a pleasant voice and plays well on a string instrument, merely to entertain them. For they hear your words, but do not practice them. So a lot of these people that tune in, they just want to be entertained by a debate, something that's controversial. And y'all learned this the moment y'all went over there and started dealing with them HOK cats. All the Mars Hill niggas. And now you got that spirit even amongst Israel, when you got these podcasts, Israelite podcasts, where they getting all these different guys with different doctrines that come on and, present their arguments and their doctrines. And Jake going there just to, like a damn shopping mall of Israelite doctrines, man. Just total confusion. And Jake want to hear something new, like them Mars Hill dudes, them Jakes in Athens. They want to hear something new, a new teaching, a new doctrine, a new revelation, or something. So, yeah, man, we're not gonna get caught up in the hype, But anyway, and this lesson was just to convey a message. All right, this isn't a personal attack on Captain Zaryak, but this is just something that I'm noticing in the spirit. I mean, which we all knew, but I just want to do a video on it. But anyway, hopefully y'all were edified. I'm gonna give all honor, praise, and glory to Abba Shemi Shai. Shalom.